They said it was impossible, that a love like theirs could never exist in reality. But what if everything we thought we knew about Jerry Yen and Tong Liya was a lie? For years, the entertainment industry has been captivated by Jerry Yen, the heartthrob whose iconic roles have defined an entire generation. Meanwhile, Tong Liya, the graceful actress with an aura of elegance, has built a career that made her one of the most admired stars in Chinese cinema. Separately, they were brilliant. Together, they were something else entirely. Rumors began to surface in hushed whispers, behind closed doors, in the hidden corners of the industry where secrets are carefully guarded. Was it just another celebrity fling? Or was there something more? The truth, as we now know it, is far more shocking than anyone could have imagined. It all started years ago, long before the cameras ever caught them in the same frame. Jerry Yen had been linked to multiple high-profile relationships, but none ever seemed to last. He was known as the elusive bachelor, the man who could have anyone but chose no one. His name was often paired with old flames, past co-stars, or rumored love interests, but he never confirmed anything. His private life was a puzzle no one could solve. And then there was Tong Liya, a woman of grace and mystery, someone who always seemed to have the perfect response to any controversy. Her marriage to Chen Xiqing was the stuff of tabloid frenzy. Praised at first, then endlessly dissected when rumors of infidelity and distance started to take over. When they eventually divorced, the headlines screamed of heartbreak, of a woman betrayed. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if Tong Liya had already found solace in someone else long before the ink on her divorce papers had dried? Behind the polished smiles, the carefully crafted social media posts, and the scripted interviews, a hidden connection was forming, one that had been years in the making. Insiders claim that Jerry and Liya first met through mutual acquaintances. It was never supposed to be anything serious, just an introduction between two respected artists. But something clicked. A conversation that lasted longer than it should have. A glance that lingered a little too long. A shared understanding of the loneliness that came with fame. For months, they kept it professional. But those who were closest to them knew something was different. Jerry, who had always avoided questions about love, started to speak in riddles during interviews. When asked about relationships, he no longer dismissed the idea outright. Tong Liya, always poised, suddenly seemed to have a glow that no one could quite explain. And then they disappeared. Not in the literal sense, of course. They still attended events, still graced magazine covers, still played their roles in the public eye. But behind the scenes, something changed. One day, Jerry Yen left for a long vacation. No explanation. No details. Just gone. Around the same time, Tong Liya took an unexpected break from filming, citing personal reasons. Neither mentioned each other. Neither made a public statement. But the whispers grew louder. Could they have escaped to a hidden paradise? Were they already living a secret life away from the cameras? Some sources say they were spotted together in remote locations, distant enough to avoid paparazzi, but not enough to escape the eyes of those who were looking. A luxury resort in Bali, a quiet villa in Japan, a discreet getaway in Europe. Different places, different timelines, but always the same question. Were they there together? And then came the moment that changed everything. A leaked document, a single piece of paper that sent the industry into chaos. A marriage certificate. The names, Jerry Yen and Tong Liya. The date, a year before anyone even suspected they were together. The location, a foreign country, far from the prying eyes of the Chinese media. It was too perfect, too unbelievable. Some dismissed it as a forgery, a desperate attempt by tabloids to stir controversy. But those who knew them best, they weren't so quick to deny it. Suddenly, past interviews took on a new meaning. The way Tong Liya once joked about having a secret that no one would ever believe. The way Jerry smirked when asked if he was truly single. The offhand comments, the hidden messages. Everything started to make sense. But why keep it a secret? Why go through such lengths to hide a love story that, to their fans, would have been celebrated? The answer lies in the world they live in. In an industry where image is everything, where personal lives are meticulously controlled, a relationship like theirs would have been a risk neither of them could afford. Jerry, the beloved idol, whose fans still held on to the fantasy that he belonged only to them. Tong Liya, the actress whose past had already been scrutinized under an unforgiving spotlight. A secret marriage would have changed everything, so they did what they had to do. They played their roles, lived their separate lives in public, while in the shadows they built something real, something worth protecting. For over a year, they succeeded, until the cracks began to show. A ring spotted on Jerry's hand, one he never wore before. A slip of the tongue in an interview, where Tong Liya referred to someone as my partner, before quickly correcting herself. The way their schedules always seemed to align, despite working on completely different projects. And then came the biggest clue of all. A fan, an ordinary bystander, happened to be in the right place at the right time. A small cafe in Paris. No security, no entourage. Just two people, lost in conversation, unaware that they were being watched. The video spread like wildfire. Jerry Yen, Tong Liya, together, not as co-stars, not as colleagues, but as something far more intimate. There was no denying it anymore. The media exploded. Questions flooded social media. Were they really married? Had they been hiding the truth all along? Was this just another publicity stunt? Or was it something far more meaningful? For days, the silence was deafening. No statements, no confirmations, just a growing storm of speculation. And then finally a response, but not in the way anyone expected. No press conference, no dramatic reveal, just a single post. A picture, two hands intertwined. No faces, no captions, just that. And that was all it took. Because sometimes the truth doesn't need to be shouted. Sometimes it's found in the quietest moments, in the spaces between words, in the things that don't need to be said. Jerry Yen and Tong Liya's love story wasn't just about secrecy. It was about survival, about choosing love in a world that tried to dictate how they should live. So, were they really married in secret? The truth, maybe we already know the answer. Maybe we always have. This script keeps it engaging, mysterious, and designed for a voiceover format. Let me know if you want any tweaks. But just when the world was beginning to accept their love story, something unexpected happened. One day, without warning, Tong Liya deleted the photo. No explanation, no comment, just gone. Jerry Yen went silent. No public appearances, no social media updates, nothing. Fans were left with one burning question. Was this the beginning of their happily ever after? Or the quiet end of something that was never meant to last? Days passed, then weeks. Just as speculation reached its peak, Tong Liya was spotted at the airport, alone. No security, no entourage, just a single suitcase and a distant look in her eyes. Reporters rushed to ask her the question on everyone's mind. But instead of answering, she simply smiled and said, "Some love stories don't need an audience." And with that, she disappeared beyond the gates, leaving the world to wonder, was she running towards something, or away from it?